Welcome to another edition of MVP Sports Live. My name is Jake Neverman. I'm here with my beautiful co-host Dave Oster. Oh, no, that way. Sorry, that way.
That guy over there.
How we
Am I
doing, Dave?
pointing the wrong way? Doing
Oh
great.
my. Wait, what did you say, Dave? I mean, Ricky, you can talk. Oh, oh, that way. That way. There we go. Okay. How we doing, Dave? We doing good. We haven't. I mean, we only done like two shows together in the last like month. So
I blame you for that.
why is it my fault?
I mean, I've been on so many days. Like, I think I'm on every day this week,
Yeah, you
except
didn't.
Monday.
You were. Yeah,
Except
you weren't on
Monday.
Monday. Well, that's because Dave. Where are you going to be next week?
Vacation again.
Uh-huh. So where are we going next week? Now, you don't have to say the exact like
Feels
we're
good.
going to.
Michigan. Going to
Oh,
Michigan.
that's not
Just a little trip up.
going to like
Have some
lake,
beach
going to some
time.
okay, some beach time.
Yep. Yep.
I never would have thought Michigan and beach. Is it really a beach? Isn't
Lake
it a lake?
Michigan. Yeah.
Okay, it's not can it be technically a beach if it's a lake?
It is sand next to a large,
Okay.
large, 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 large lake.
Okay. All right. So before we get into the episode of the day, where Dave and I are going to be talking about the game two and game one last night. Kemba Walker wanting out of Boston and their shaky relationship, and then the Pacers firing their coach, even though we were told that they don't fire coaches; they just part
Crazy.
ways. We'll be talking about that. Not surprising news to Kemba and Borgensen, but still worth to talk about now. Before we get into that, if you want to support us, in the description below, patreon.com. Get multiple tiers. We do have a mock drafts coming out soon. I think Soapy has one coming out soon. And if you are subscribed to Patreon or a channel member down below, you can get those just a week early. My mock draft is coming out. I think it's like 13 days until the lottery. Mine will be coming out the following day after the lottery on patreon.com. So you'll be getting it a week earlier than everybody else when the order
We'll
is
drop a
actually
two
set.
rounder. It's coming.
Uh, I'll drop a two rounder right before the draft. I know Ricky's
I've got,
doing one. I'll
I've
do
got
one.
mine going already.
Well, I'm waiting for the actual order, and then I'll
Oh
have
yeah,
mine out.
that's what I'm saying. Like I've got round two though, because round two's locked pretty
Yeah.
much. I've got
Uh,
going.
and then also, I'm gonna plug myself real quick because
Do it.
twitter.com/Jake Neverman. I did my first thread on my first prospect of the year, Chris Duarte. Ricky is finishing editing his video on Io DeSumo. That'll be out soon as a prospect scouting video, and then shortly following that one, my video of Chris Duarte will be out, and then hopefully for one, I want to do one a week every week leading up to the season until I run out because that's my goal.
Yeah.
So Chris Duarte will be the first one, followed by Josh Giddey. There's a spoiler because Josh Giddey's my guy, so I gotta talk
And
about
then
him.
Rokas following that, right?
Rokas Jokubitis might have to come up next.
Yeah.
No, I
Yep.
also said I'm gonna do Jalen Johnson because I'm higher on him than most people. I
Ooh,
also want to see
okay.
what's up to Wilson in the chat. He said, "How about them Hawks?" We'll be talking about that soon.
Oh fuck yeah.
I don't think I missed anything. We're live every single day on YouTube right here. Games Live was not live today, but usually is live just prior to us on MVP Entertainment. Tomorrow's Dave and Soapy. I think the next 2 days are Dave and Soapy,
Oh,
and they're
yeah.
doing two draft topics. We kicked the draft topic because how much basketball
There's
we
so
have to
much
talk today.
news. It's weird that
Yeah.
it's like usually the playoffs are like almost just solely focused in on the playoffs, but instead we have like bombs dropping left and right. It's kind of wild.
Well, Wilson, we do have a rotating cast usually every week, so Ricky's not on today. Ricky's not on the rest of the week, actually. He'll probably be back. I think it's Ricky and I on Monday because Soapy gets his second shot this weekend, and then Dave's
Oh,
gone.
good luck to
So
him on that one.
good
That
luck.
takes
Good
the
luck.
shit out of you.
Yeah, it definitely. I felt like death for 24
Same.
hours afterwards. But we're gonna get into the games first. Last night, game one was game two of the Sixers Hawks. Sixers basically dominated the entire game.
Yeah, it didn't feel like much of a game after about halftime.
It didn't really, yeah. And the Sixers finished it off 118-102. Joel Embiid with the most points in the Sixers playoff history since Allen Iverson. He also set that record the game before in game one when he had 39-9. Finished with 40 and 13. Just before I go off, your
Yeah.
first overall thoughts on the
The
game.
non-biased opinion in
Yeah,
this
fair.
conversation.
I
Look,
keep my
I think
bias out of it most times. Come on.
no, I will give your Sixers and Doc credit because they saw a problem after the first game of the series and watching what Trae Young was able to do to this team. And they switched up the defensive rotations. Instead of trying to have Danny Green follow Trae across the court, it wasn't working. They had only, I forget the possessions, but it was like 50% Danny Green and then a handful to Matisse, handful to Ben. This was majority Ben, some Matisse, and almost no Danny Green. And the change was night and day. So really great alteration mid-series there for Doc. I think that this is a fun Hawks team, but their reliance on Trae is heavy. I mean, Herder and Shake were going shot for a hot minute there. Neither one of them could miss. It was exciting basketball, but at the same time, like it did feel like they just the refs fucking sucked, and we all knew that was gonna happen. Like I'm just gonna get that out of the way. They fucking sucked. But B, it felt like the Hawks were running shy on
Yeah.
firepower out there with Trae Young being limited. So I mean it's a great series, and I think expectation wise, it's giving me exactly what I was hoping for.
Yeah, so in game one, it was Danny Green for 49 plays, Matisse Thybulle for 14, and Ben Simmons for 8.
Yeah.
Second game, it was Danny Green for 2 plays, Thybulle for 29, and Ben Simmons for 31. I think he in the first 2 games combined, Trae Young is 2 for 7 with 3 turnovers when Ben Simmons guards him. I just find it hilarious that I was hearing going into the playoffs that Ben Simmons, some people think his defense is overrated at a point, and some people
Really?
believe that. Yeah, I've listened.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah.
Twitter and Reddit is a wild place, especially when it comes to Ben Simmons. But last night, I mean, the story is Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid is on one knee right now, apparently, with a partially torn
I
meniscus.
believe none of that right now. Did you see him?
Yeah, I've seen him. And remember when the news came out and he said it was day to day. And also, I forgot to plug our Discord, but our Discord also down below. Join it for free. Best community in the world, honestly. We had big discussions today about Kemba that will continue later. We were talking about when he got that injury in the Discord, and people were like, "Oh, he's done. He's done." And I'm like, I think there's a part of me that thinks he's actually been playing with this for most of the year. Back in Washington, honestly, which is ironic because that's where both of his major injuries happened. We're in Washington this year. I think he probably did it back then, honestly, and he's been playing with it since because I also read that Athletic had a really good article about it that they actually had a real doctor on instead of Twitter doctors because that's what most people are relying on.
Yeah.
That said that they wouldn't have given him treatment or physical therapy if it was a new tear. So I believe that they either knew that this was here or that it was so small that he was playing on it anyways. I mean, he was great. Danny Green, they finally on offense, which was the big change, honestly. Defensively, Ben Simmons on Trae Young, we knew that was going to happen. We knew that they were going to change that and it was going to be easier. But offensively, in the first game, Trae Young was guarding Danny Green and kind of standing in the corner and playing half the game basically because they weren't using him. This time, whoever Trae Young was on was setting screens every single play, and it was either Trae Young getting switched onto somebody or multiple times Tobias Harris. And Tobias Harris had 16 points in the first quarter. He was finding Trae Young in the post.
12 of their first 16, right? I mean,
Yeah,
he was the guy out the gates.
yeah, and it was great to see. And Seth Curry in the playoffs also. I think he's averaging just over 17 points a game now in the playoffs, and I need to. Ben Simmons had 7 points, no, 4 points, 7 assists, and 3 rebounds yesterday, right? So people were getting on him saying he doesn't shoot enough, he did blah blah blah. Well, when you have Joel Embiid over 20 shot attempts, Tobias Harris near 20 shot attempts, and then Seth Curry near 15 shot attempts, do you just want Ben to take the ball out of their hands and shoot? Like, I get it to a point where people like to criticize Ben Simmons because he's not a scorer, but the faster that people will just realize everything he does well instead of criticizing the one thing he doesn't do well in scoring,
Yeah.
you can actually appreciate how good of a player he is because he dictated that entire game. A lot of the Sixers' open shots came off either Ben Simmons screens or Ben Simmons transition passes, and then he played Trae Young the entire time on defense. So and then Shake Milton, we talked about him before the playoffs, and I was saying as long as Tyrese Maxey was playing the way he is, you cannot play Shake Milton. And then Tyrese Maxey started to regress, and Doc made the ballsy call of putting in Shake Milton, and it just won them the game. It completely changed the game. It won the game for the Sixers, and it's good to see the bench unit has to produce if they want to keep playing at this level that they were basically throughout. I know the game was close in the second and third quarter, but it never really felt like the Sixers were going to lose the game.
I'm with you there, and I think that back on the point of Ben Simmons and his contributions, like you have to look at the percentage or the percentages his teammates are shooting when being assisted by Ben. Like he makes everyone better, and that's what it comes down to. It's almost like the old LeBron where it was like, why is this guy deferring so much? He's so dominant. Like, well, if he doesn't drive to the hole, and try to yam it every time, like his shots by percentage are going to be not as good as if he is getting guys open looks and creating for others. So you take that and you run with it. And yeah, it doesn't fit the narrative that the media wants, stars taking over games, but he is helping his team more by facilitating than he would be by taking those shots away, like you said. So no, I mean, it was a great game, and I expect the whole series to be fairly close, but really the series is just Ben Simmons. Can he lock down Trae? Can they take advantage of Trae on that offensive side? And then if Joel Embiid can stay healthy, that's honestly number one is really just Joel Embiid health.
Embiid. This whole team comes down to Embiid. It has all year. He's honestly, and I know
Dwight's no slouch, eh?
Dwight is out there. Best backup center in the NBA. I don't know. We talked about that. I was told it was Ennis Cancer, and
I'm paying off so well.
Yeah, exit that one. I said it throughout the year. I think Joel Embiid was the best player in the NBA this season, and when he played, honestly, Jokic deserved the MVP because he played the entire year. Best available. It's the most available player. Okay, that's what we're calling it.
There's an
Um,
asterisk on there almost. Yeah.
well, because it wasn't even like, and Nikola Jokic deserved. Nikola Jokic's year was amazing, but he was literally like the fifth person that the narrative shifted to win the award. Because at first it was
It was
Embiid,
Luca.
it was Luca, and then it was Embiid, then it was LeBron, then it was Harden, and then
And it was Steph for
oh,
a
then it
hot
was
minute.
Steph, and then it was Jokic, so six. But I mean, what Embiid is doing in the playoffs right now and how he's playing in the defense, while Ben Simmons is a great defender, the defense is so reliant on trapping and playing them into like basically hovering the defense into Joel Embiid and being like, I dare you to go up on me and try to shoot over me because Embiid's just going to block your shot every time. The Sixers basically had no bench production going into the fourth before Shake Milton had his little renaissance, I guess, and then Danilo Gallinari and shifting more to the Hawks. Trae Young was he still played well. He still had 21, 11, and 3, but when the team is this reliant and we saw them go out and sign guys like Bogdanovich and Gallinari to try to kind of take some of the presence away from Trae Young instead of being totally reliant on him, which is a good thing. This is the Dallas Mavericks should almost follow the same blueprint in getting guys who can handle the ball and actually being able to create where Trae Young doesn't have to all the time. But when I think it was at halftime, the Hawks had 32 bench points and the Sixers had zero.
Yeah.
And the Sixers were winning by 2. And I remember looking at that, I'm like, I feel pretty good about this game. But yeah, the Hawks will be fine. I'm just not sure genuinely if their role players can shoot as well as they did in the first game. And I think we look at this series a lot similar. We looked at the Clippers and Mavericks, where the Mavericks role players were shooting at an all-time percentage, and that's exactly what the Hawks are doing in game one. I think Collins and Bogdanovich started 8 for 10 from 3 in that game. If they're going to do that, you put your hands up and you're like, hey, you won. But
Yep.
I don't expect them to do that. I still expect the Sixers to win this series.
Yeah, I mean it's just top end talent. The Sixers are better, but the depth of the Atlanta Hawks keeps things interesting. I think that's the narrative you're going to see. So,
Yeah.
well, I think at the end of the day, kudos to the Atlanta Hawks
Mhm.
for an amazing fucking year. Nate McMillan with
They're gonna
fuck
be here.
yous left and right to the
Yeah.
entire league.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, you thought I was a trash coach? Yeah, been
They're-
dominating with the Atlanta Hawks and Trae Young. You're welcome.
The Hawks are going to be here for a long, long time as long as Trae Young is healthy and on the team.
Sad news about Hunter though.
Out for the year.
Officially done for the year. He had been out with injuries for a chunk of the years already. Ham was out. Like, this is a team where this is like year one of, hey, we're spooky now, you know. But not in the mean way of like the Timberwolves. Like, they're actually legitimately like, this is a playoff team for the next 5-6 years easily.
I'll pull the Ricky out here. Is this like when the Golden State Warriors made their assertion when they lost? And was Lloyd Pierce their Mark Jackson? Is Nate McMillan their Steve Kerr to get them to the next step? And no, we're not doing that. We're gonna move on to the next series.
Yes, I love it.
Ricky. Yeah, we're gonna move on to the next series. It was game one between the Clippers and the Utah Jazz. We talked about the Utah Jazz before, and actually, again, in our Discord, join it below, I talked about how, with the Nets looking the way they are, the only team I genuinely think that could maybe take a game or two off of them in an NBA Finals from the West might be the Utah Jazz, simply because of their offensive firepower and how lethal they can be from 3. Now, does that mean that I'm ready to crown their asses, Dave? Crown the Jazz asses? Not yet. The Clippers were dominant in the first half. They went into the second half with a 10-point lead, and then it kind of just looked like they lost their legs, honestly. I can't wait to see these teams both at full health. Maybe Mike Conley comes back. Maybe Paul George eventually plays.
We will see Will the Thrill Barton in another series coming back. So it is that time. People are starting to come back from injuries in the playoffs.
You didn't catch my joke, Dave.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I said maybe we'll get these teams at full health. Mike Conley might be back. Paul George might play. We might, one of these times they might actually start playing.
Wow. Okay, Paul George does a lot of things on the court. Shooting is the least consistent of all of them.
No, I agree. You got to put the jab in there when a guy shoots 4 of 17. I mean,
yeah, it hurts.
It hurts. So no Clipper fan gets mad. I'm usually a Paul George defender. Again, in our Discord, I'm usually one of the guys who stands up for him. He was so good in that last series. I know he had a couple bad shooting nights, but his distribution and his rebounding in the last series was giant for them in terms of coming back and winning that series. I guess my main question is still, and it's always going to be with the Clippers, is Tyronn Lue. Down the stretch, going with Rondo, didn't make any sense to me. Zubac actually looked. This is more of a Zubac series, and shout out Retro, our resident Clippers fan.
Yes.
We were watching the game with him last night actually, and I was like, I remember we was about 5 minutes left, and Rondo was still playing, and we're like, where's Zubac? Where's Man? Where's anybody? Kennard was still out there. Rondo was out
fire. Can I just? I want a victory lap the fucking Kennard haters out there because for an entire year, this boy got clowned on. Like, I can't believe they gave him a contract. I can't believe that he's getting paid so much money to fucking not play. He's not even good enough to be on the bench. Man's better than him. Everybody's better than him. He shouldn't even get minutes, and we're paying him how many millions of dollars? And then when their time comes, where they're so fucking desperate, they got turned to Luke Kennard to come in and save their ass with some of the hottest shooting performances of the playoffs. Because Marukes Morris is either the worst fucking shooter in existence or he's actually a useful player. But 9 out of 10 times, seems like he's a bad fucking choice to take a shot. And why he took a last shot of the game, what the fuck?
Can we talk about how?
Wrong?
First off.
Sorry, that was all over the place.
No, you're good. No, you brought up a good point with that last shot that I completely forgot about. Is I saw Marcus Morris try to sidestep a 7'9" wingspan, and he stared. People were like, "Rudy Gobert can't guard the perimeter." I thought he jumped right into Marcus Morris, and he just didn't. Marcus Morris, all he had to do was lean forward and shoot it and get 3 free throws. And instead, he tried to sidestep a 7'9" wingspan, and all Gobert had to do was that, and he blocked him. That last possession was such a mess. I usually agree with not calling a timeout and just going. But when you had looked that dysfunctional down the stretch in your offense, and why wouldn't you call a timeout and take Rondo out because he's not going to shoot a 3 and put somebody else in I don't even know. No, Reggie Jackson had fouled out, so maybe put a Zubac in there and hope to get an offensive rebound. Like none of the decisions made sense to me down the stretch.
Jake. The game is on the line. Why is one man who is known for taking game-killing shots not have the ball in his hands? Why is Kawhi Leonard not the guy to take the last shot? He's the best fucking clutch time scorer we've seen in the last 10 years. I have no fucking clue why this coaching staff of Ty Lue plus the boys haven't figured out that the ball should be in his hands right now. Instead, they're all just collecting their paychecks and getting ready to take head coaching jobs somewhere else right now. Well, it pisses me off so much.
And they ran the DHO it was a handoff from Kawhi to Paul George. I'm like, shouldn't that be reversed? Like, why? And then
unless it's a handoff into a pass back, like they could have set that up to get a give and go and get it back to Kawhi again, but they didn't. And I am so fucking angry at that call. That was the worst. Like
it was very weird too. Like they played DeMarcus Cousins for 4 minutes, didn't play him the rest of the game. They played Patrick Beverley for 6 minutes. He did. He just clicked up some fouls, which is boogie. Yeah. Which that's another thing I have to bring up. Part of the game. The officiating down the stretch in this game was so questionable that at one point Reggie Jackson got hit in the back of the head, and they didn't call a foul. And then down the other end, Gobert got a hand on him and went like this and got a foul call. I don't want the games to come down to officiating, but that looks so bad to me. The story of this game is Donovan Mitchell. Dave has been a critic of Donovan Mitchell for a very long time.
I'm not a critic. I'm just asking questions.
Dave, that's what a critic is, Dave.
No, critic would be I'm critiquing him. I'm giving him
questions about his game, critiquing him.
No, well, some would say.
Yeah, it is.
Some would say this man has.
He finished with 45. Just so you know, he finished with 45 points, 16 of 30 shooting.
Yeah,
we gotta say
it's pretty good. I mean, look, I'm just saying Jordan Clarkson was also 6-18 with 18 points. Great game from Jordan Clarkson again. Not too far off the pace. That's all I'm saying.
I don't know if 6 of 18 is close.
It's not quite the same as 16 to 30. It's a little off.
That's Jordan Clarkson. That's
Jordan Clarkson now, motherfucker. Like, this team is like the ultimately well-balanced team. And then you just add in Donovan Mitchell to carry during downtimes. Great. Say Joe Ingles isn't shooting 7 from 3 tonight. That's fine. Let Donovan Mitchell take over. If Bojan is out there and busts his ass on defense, chasing guys down, trying to keep the clamps on, maybe we should give him and Royce O'Neal a lot of fucking credit for being able to slow down players like Paul George and Marukes Morris and Kawhi Leonard. You can't really contain, but you can hope to slow him down a little bit. It's their wings were very, very busy. So you're not going to get the incredible offensive output out of. I mean, Royce, you're never really gonna, but like Bojan, sometimes you'll see those games where he's putting up 24 a night. So it's nice to have someone who can be your number one and you don't have to think about it. He just has that it factor to take over games, a la Damian Lillard. Like, when he starts feeling it, the team moves with him. Like, he is his own like hype machine. He is his own like momentum on that team, and he brings the team up with him to match that. So I think you can't underestimate what Donovan Mitchell's impact is, but like the crazy thing about this Jazz team is that they're a team. It's not a one-man show. Even though Donovan Mitchell's having this 45-point game, it's honestly like they're getting fucking effort from every guy up and down that roster.
I agree. And I think it's so hard in this series because the Clippers. This series is going to be a flip the coin in 6 or 7 games. I honestly feel, and the big X factor is going to be is Mike Conley come back and play.
Yeah,
That is the big thing because the Clippers are slowly going to get their legs back in this series as it goes on. And if the Clippers can steal a game 2 in Utah, I think that changes everything in this series. And I really think they probably should have won this game, honestly. With how they played in the first half, they probably should have won. And it's almost a missed opportunity at that point. Game 1 loss on the road isn't the end of the world or anything for the Clippers.
Yeah.
We saw last series where they went down 2-0 and went on the road and won the series. It's just a little bit worrisome. Paul George's continued struggles is still the problem with the Clippers is when you know what you're going to get from Kawhi. Kawhi's Kawhi. When Paul George doesn't give it to you, somebody else has to, and usually that guy this year has been Marcus Morris. Reggie looked really good in this game. He just fouled out with some touchy fouls.
I would say Reggie has been their playoff player. Like, he's been the guy who found his step in the playoffs when it counts most. Maruk's has stepped back. He had one good game in the entire first round. So like, I mean, it's weird, but I've got the confidence in Reggie and Kennard. Like, those are my supplementary players. Those are the guys who have to continue having legitimate, excellent performances night in to keep them in it. Because you're right, like, you cannot count on someone like Maruk's and Rondo. As much of a fanboy of Rondo, I am.
That was my next point.
Go ahead. Take it.
His minutes have to be cut. He cannot be playing 28 minutes and Terrence Mann only playing 8. I get it. Down the stretch there, I would not have played him. Nick Batum also only getting 21 minutes. I genuinely don't understand the rotations right now. I understand wanting Rondo to be good and wanting Rondo to be like there for them, but playing him near 30.
To be fair, he is the only guy who fucking runs an offense on the team. It feels like when he's off the floor, and I know part of his minutes tonight were because of Reggie. Like, we can asterisk, or last night were because of Reggie, and you can put an asterisk on that. It's a unique situation, but this team does not run their offense like an actual team.
Yeah, no.
Unless he's out there. Otherwise, it's just like, oh, we're playing ISO Kawhi, see what looks we get, and we'll maybe do 2 passes on this on this possession. Like, it is an entirely different game plan when you have a legitimate point guard on the floor. So I get that. Ideally, you're right. I would probably say Rondo for like 15 a night, Mann for 12. Like, that would probably be my ideal. Like, here's my backcourt bench distribution, you know? And those guys can play alongside each other. It's not ideal, though.
Yeah.
As far as Batum, I love the guy. I got no problems with him. I'm cool with feeding him more minutes, honestly. Like,
I was saying like,
it's just
Kennard. I was saying down this.
Kennard's taking it like because they're like 4 wings. That's the problem.
But the problem was also last night is that they could not stop Donovan Mitchell, and Kennard was a large part of that. But it wasn't just a Kennard. It was their defensive setup of letting Mitchell just cut the defenders and go straight down the lane every time. They're either going to have to trap him next game, or they're going to have to play automatic switches. It shows your pants. I have shorts on. What do you mean? I haven't had my camera on, so they think I don't have pants on. But I think, I don't know how this series is going to go, honestly. It's very hard to predict with injuries and who's going to play and who's not going to play. Literally, it's going to be whoever's role players play more consistent, because we know what we're going to get out of Donovan Mitchell. We know what we're going to get from Kawhi Leonard. Are the role players like Paul George and Ivica Zubac going to play well? It's just what would I say something?
You can't keep calling him a role player.
Oh wait, sorry, is that an insult to role players? My bad.
Oh my god, you're trying to stir the pot, Jake. That's my job. Leave it to me. Leave that to me.
I love Paul George. I hope he goes for 40 next game. We're gonna move into our first actual topic that's outside of the NBA playoffs. Was our news this morning that we kind of knew was coming. Like, we kind of knew this was going to happen this offseason regardless, but Kemba Walker and the Celtics are ready for a separation from each other. It was reported this morning. I'm not sure by who exactly, honestly. I didn't read the article, just heard about it. But they apparently tried to trade him for, also, buckle yourself up if you heard this one before. Danny Ainge tried to trade Kemba Walker for Drew Holiday, but didn't like the price, so it didn't get done. So I mean, is that?
Wow.
I was gonna
Danny
say
Ainge
I was
couldn't
waiting
pull
for
the
it.
he couldn't pull the trigger on a deal. We were this close. We tried to give them Kemba Walker and Jalen Brown and 6 first-round picks, and they wouldn't take the deal.
Can
Guys,
you
I'm doing
believe it?
everything I can out here.
Not
Everything I can to make this deal happen for us. I'm trying to put a great team on the court. All you're gonna have to do is play with 6 more rookies on the team, though, Brad. I'm sure you'll have no problem coaching that into the playoffs.
First off, I would have loved Drew Holiday on the Celtics. I love that fit next to Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum.
Oh,
Honestly, would have been amazing.
I don't even know that I love the fit, but it's better than fucking Kemba's bum ass.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
Kemba Walker, no Neve having fucking scumbag wannabe. I hate that piece of
Wait,
shit.
that has to be
Get,
Lolian. He just said in chat, Beastie
yeah,
Boy said send Kevin to the Bulls so they can have 3 All-Stars. Pretty sure that's Lolian from our Discord. If it's not,
just trying to get me fucking hot over here. I
okay.
will fight you.
So we're gonna start off with first of all, let's talk about the Celtics side of this and kind of. I mean, are we shocked that they really tried to trade Kemba last year? Not really, but I don't know who else they would have gone for outside of Drew Holiday. Honestly, actually, they should have gone for John Wall, but they didn't.
That's
And
low key the Russell Westbrook thing you're hearing now too.
yeah,
That's one of the rumors out there is a Kemba Russ swap.
oh my god, Bradley Beal, get out of Washington, please.
Yeah, Bradley Beal run
Oh
for your
my
fucking life.
God.
That's exactly what that says.
Oh my
But
god.
I mean, if you're getting picks from the Celtics to take Kemba Walker and you
Yeah,
get Russ off that, hey, that's a win-win, baby.
I
That's a
agree.
win-win.
I
But
don't
you
think
know,
it's a win for the Celtics, but yeah.
I do.
Why?
100%.
So they can
If
lose
they
in the
could
playoffs.
get Russell Westbrook on that team,
Still,
you
he can
don't
lose.
think they play better?
They play better. Then they're still not good enough
I
at
don't.
all.
Anyone's good enough to beat the Nets.
Okay, but okay,
But we don't know if the Nets are going to be the Nets next year.
We also we don't know if the Nets are going to be the Nets next year, and then the year after all of their contracts expire. So we don't know
That's
heading into the season after next if all 3 of them are still going to be in Brooklyn. So that's
yeah.
a whole. That's all. But you can't just build. You can't stop building, or I guess even just next to the other teams in the East. I don't think adding Russell Westbrook makes them take that next step. Honestly,
I don't
you
know
know,
how Russell Westbrook doesn't make them the second or third best team. Third best team. Your Sixers. I have to just. I know. I'm not even gonna. I don't want to have that argument right now. It would not make them a
you
top 3 team in the East. I believe
you
that firmly. Kemba Walker, Marcus Smart, Jason Tatum, Jalen Brown, Robert Williams.
You just said Kemba Walker.
I said Kemba Walker.
Yeah, that team's a top 5. No, you meant Russell Westbrook. I've made my thoughts clear on Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
I don't need to have the Russell Westbrook debate again. So we'll agree to disagree on that one.
Sure.
Do you think there's now shifting into like with Kemba? What are the where are the fits with Kemba? Like where could he end up? What teams would be interested in him? We'll just throw out teams here and start talking because I honestly
Yeah.
there's
I
not.
mean, to be realistic, Kemba Walker, as much as I fucking pure straight hate that piece of shit player, when he's healthy, is not a terrible player. He's a score first point guard. He doesn't have great size, but he can still get to the paint. He can still take it to the line. Like there are some attractive assets to his game, but he has to be the right fit on the right team. I think if you're a team like Miami who doesn't have the chance to go ahead and get Giannis this offseason, like the plan was initially, you have to take a look and say, Kyle Lowry will be up for grabs. That's the main piece. Everybody out there, he's like the golden boy of free agency at the moment. He's the veteran point guard who would add excellence to any playoff team and help them on their way to a championship. I think outside of that, Miami is probably going to look at Kemba and say, wonder what the price would be. We've got some pieces we can kick around. They've got some pieces they can kick. Like that would be an interesting situation. I don't know if they would do an in conference deal though with Miami. I feel like Boston helping Miami or Miami helping Boston. It just seems weird to think that could happen. So I look across to, maybe a team out west, maybe a team that they wouldn't have to play right away.
Sorry, I saw JD say that he'd be a good fit in New Orleans, and I just thought in my head, how? Wait, what? Oh, no, I would disagree with that just because I don't think him, Brandon Ingram, and Zion mesh. Because Brandon Ingram and Zion were used more down the stretch as the primary initiators. So I think
that's because Lonzo Ball isn't a point guard.
That's also true. JD said, I almost called him James. JD said any small market team. I somewhat agree with that. And then Portland, Maine was the team that I was going to throw out. The Knicks. The Knicks just need to add talent. It doesn't matter where it comes from. Yeah. And also, if most of these deals are contingent on the Celtics are going to have to throw in a first. Like the abundance of first they have, whether it's protected, whatever it is, if it's top 20 protected, whatever, there's going to have to be some value thrown in. Now we've seen some trades thrown out in the Discord, and I feel like we need to talk about them to kind of shoot them down real quick. The first one, Lolian loves is Kristaps Porzingis to the Celtics and Kemba Walker to the Dallas Mavericks. Now, before you go, let me go. The Dallas Mavericks would be stupid to put Kemba Walker with Luka Doncic. First off, second off, Kristaps Porzingis in Boston might last a year. I love Kristaps, actually. He was very good during the regular season. He had a terrible series. I'm not ready to call him a terrible player. One, people were talking about this would be a high risk, high reward. I'm not sure the reward is worth it when the guy has injury problems, his contract's too high, and his production is very inconsistent. There's three things that you already can point to that why I wouldn't do the deal. And then the other one that got thrown out, I can't think of it right now.
OKC Al Horford.
That's what it is.
And chat.
Al Horford. You want to talk about it first with Al Horford because I'm a Sixers fan. I'm going to be called biased, so you just go with Al Horford.
I think they killed it in Discord with the one liner of Al Horford is known for one thing, that's stopping Joel Embiid, even when he's on his own team. Like that is his legacy in the NBA. Yeah, we haven't seen him play actual basketball in 2 years now. Be very interesting to see what he would bring back. But if you're looking to get rid of a player on a bad contract, OKC is the right place to dial up. Maybe they could swing a deal for like Al Horford, like Moses Brown, so they have another center on that team where I know Time Lord loved, appreciated, but they could use another center, and I think Moses Brown has shown that, like, hey, worst case scenario, he's a great backup center who will be able to soak up plenty of minutes for you playing a big role. I think that one works out fairly okay for both sides. I wonder even if OKC wants his dumbass though. Like
I was gonna say, if they get Cade,
why
would they want him?
Or Suggs. If they get Cade or Suggs.
Like
God forbid they get 2 picks right top. Ooh. Where's the room for Kemba Walker? Is this a team who's going to compete again for a playoff spot before the Kings get their own hand out of their ass? Like that'd be crazy to watch them go from playoff team, bottom team, bounce back to the playoffs in one season. That would be just fucking bravo movement.
JD made the point that Al Horford only has $14 million guaranteed. That's a big reason. So why wouldn't the Thunder keep him and only have that $14 million guaranteed instead of taking on Kemba Walker's contract?
Well, they want. What else are you going to give me for Kemba Walker? That's the thing. It's it's a great deal. Are you going to give me a pick? Are you going to give me a player? Like, what else can you throw into the situation? And
I need to throw out the point that that Celtics are going to throw out is that he's the Embiid stopper. While that might have been true, it's not the case anymore.
We don't know anymore. That's the problem. He hasn't played basketball in 2 years, Jake.
Listen, well, he played basketball last year.
Not really for you guys. You guys pretty much fucking killed him. You're like, hey, bench it over there.
Yeah, because he was a trash ass player. But
turns out playing 3 centers at the same time, not a great idea. Maybe that's why Brett Brown doesn't have a fucking job right now.
Jesus Christ. Or Elton Brand got demoted, basically. One of the two.
Well, that was a different problem for me.
First of all, nobody stops Joel Embiid anymore. That's just the case, unless it's Nick Nurse. Nick Nurse is the only person, and I don't understand it.
There are some teams who absolutely own.
No, not some teams. There is one team. The Raptors are the only team that stopped him consistently. Saying Anna Horford's a sweetheart. Good lord. Kemba doesn't help OKC is what Lexington said. I agree. I don't.
Does mean though if they get 2 firsts in the top 10.
Okay.
This is a team that absolutely in the West could flip themselves from one of the worst teams to fighting for that 10th seed, that 9th seed, even dare I say the 8th seed in the West, because they have it. Think about this team. They were a legit 500 team like 30 games into the year. They sent Al Horford fucking to Hawaii.
They said, go home.
You're good, bro. Take a vacation. Shai Gilgeous, your 2-week injury is now a year-long injury. Also get the fuck out of here. Lou Dort had to sit games that he was healthy for because he made them too competitive. Like this is a team that went out of their way to just absolutely lose.
Wait, but why aren't they getting fined? Why isn't Sam Presti getting fired? Because the NBA has a double standard. That's
I agree.
Why.
It's some bullshit.
It's an absolute.
But I think
Sam Hinkie died so that Sam Presti could live. Sorry.
But if you look at a lineup of Kemba Walker, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Cade Cunningham, Lou Dort, Cade Cunningham, and like Darius Baisley.
But I have a better one for you.
I'm just saying, like, that lineup could, in theory, put you in that race for the 10-9-8 running. And I think that's something, if they wanted to, they could literally go from a playoff team to the worst team to a playoff team within a span of 3 years, and that would be an incredible story.
But what if like instead, we're talking about Porzingis for Kemba, we're talking about Horford for Kemba. What if we just cut out the Celtics in that, and we're like, let's talk about Horford to Dallas.
What is going on?
Did
Lou
Ricky just pull up?
Dort,
What?
Tank Commander, Cade Cunningham.
I'll put it on the screen.
That is awesome.
And of course, it was against Philadelphia too.
Yeah, that is great right there.
But what about? I mean, we're gonna completely disregard Kemba here for a second. But why wouldn't the teams cut him out and be like, let's send Al Horford to Dallas, and let's send Porzingis up to OKC. Porzingis could see a bigger role in the offense. Al Horford fits the 5 stretch better than quote unquote Porzingis did. And then nobody's bitching about not being able to play a big enough role. They get Cade. You got Cade, you got Shea, you got Porzingis, you got Dort, you got Baisley. Isn't that a better deal than getting Kemba?
I don't know. I don't know.
Is there any teams outside of the 2 that we just talked to that should be interested in Kemba?
So, I think. Let me pull up. Hang on one sec.
I'm not.
Go ahead.
You go. No, you go.
No, you go. No, you go.
No, you go. What team are you gonna throw out? I don't have a team, so because I literally don't know where he fits.
LA.
Honestly, for what?
Yes.
First, so Kuzma goes back to the.
Both LA teams would be interested in Kemba Walker if Kyle Lowry does not go to them. I think Kemba Walker is the runner-up to, like, he is the, okay, whoever missed out on the Kyle Lowry sweepstakes, Kemba Walker is the next guy up. I think he is. A lot of people will look to him as his name's on the market. He's available. He's very clearly available. And you may be able to take advantage of a situation where he's not costing you a premium right now because he played so poorly and was not able to stay healthy. Now, I know I wouldn't bet on a player with a degenerative knee issue ever. But if I'm a team like the Clippers, if I'm a team like the Lakers, and I'm coming off of this past year, yeah, if I'm going to have a chance to add Kemba Walker to my team, I would take that shot.
So my idea that came to my head is KCP and Kuzma for Kemba and like a strongly protected first.
Yeah.
Like, that would be about what I would, and I think that benefit. God, Boston would kill Kyle Kuzma within a year. But KCP helps that team.
No. Kyle Kuzma went. I don't even know what would happen to that man because, I mean, obviously Kyle Kuzma is known for.
Also, Sap throwing out Kemba for Kuz, KCP in 22. That's the Lakers are getting a first, not giving up a first if they're taking Kemba on. It's still, and also I'm just gonna read a couple of YouTube comments here.
Yeah.
JD said, is buying Kemba out an option? Well, penalty. There's no penalty for it. It'd just be a wildly expensive buyout because how much money he's still left in his deal. And somebody said, never seen 2 unicorns together. We could get Poku and KP together. And Lolian also said that LeBron might kill Kemba. That's also true. But if he made it through Dennis Schroeder, I think he can make it through Kemba.
Yeah.
I think honestly,
another guy who could be sign and trade. Like, you could see a Schroeder Kemba sign and trade swap and then something else tossed in like that. I mean, I know you brought up Kuz and KCP, but like Schroeder's someone who it sounds like he's outie. Like he does not want to be there. So hey, could you think about his role on a team like the Boston Celtics? Would he be helpful? Would he hurt the team? Plus or minus from Kemba? I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know. He had a shit performance in a couple games in the playoff, but he also was the only guy keeping them in a couple games. So.
I'm not sure what to expect. Kemba and Paul George are pretty similar to me, honestly. They're wildly inconsistent, and you don't know what you're gonna get from them game to game. Obviously, Paul George brings more defensive upside than Kemba does, and that's why I saw it thrown out in the chat. Keep Kemba away from Dallas. Do not put him and Luka together. I hate that pairing. It will not work, especially if you have like Tim Hardaway, the 3 on that team. Will not work at all. I'm sorry. I saw KP and Hardaway in a sign and trade for Kemba and the Time Lord. I don't think the Celtics would they do that. I also don't think it would work out with salary because Tim Hardaway is going to get 15 to 20 million and Porzingis works 30 million. So
it would have to be somebody
else would have to
contract, which they don't have. Maybe a 3-team deal. What about a team who hit rock bottom but then found hope this season? The Minnesota Timberwolves are a team that technically is in a situation where it looks like it sure seemed like they would be willing to move on from pieces to find better success.
But they were so good when D'Lo and Cat played together. And
D'Lo
I'm not sure
and
that
Ant.
and
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a
I
three-man
said and.
team.
No, I said and.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Okay.
said
I heard
D'Lo
and.
and I said D'Lo and Cat.
Okay.
Um,
Gotcha.
Vanderbilt playing so well and McDaniel's playing so well. All that team
Yeah.
needs is a point guard. Like if they
That's
get
what,
Cater Suggs, like
but they're also
roll with
this
that.
close to get nothing.
They are very close to getting nothing, and if that happens, then we see if do they wildly overpay for Alonzo Ball or something like that? Because that, I mean, not that he would go there, but if they give him $25 to $26 million a year, would he
Hard to turn
consider
that
it?
down. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say, would he consider it? Yeah, JD, you're not getting Cat for Kemba Walker. I hope you know that. And
No.
also,
God, no.
to shift before we move on to the last topic of the Pacers, I need to ask your opinion on this because when I
Sure.
was on the show with Ricky, we were talking about Damian Lillard trades,
Yeah.
and we were talking about if the Sixers were interested, if Ben Simmons, Maxey Thibault. We were talking about if the Knicks were interested, RJ Barrett, blah blah blah, whoever you want to send.
A lot of
And then,
firsts.
yeah, a lot of firsts. And then we talked about, I think I said for the Sixers, I think I said Thibault, Ben, Maxey, and like 4 firsts or something like that. That would be the trade that I threw out.
Yeah.
How about the Celtics? And I was told that Jaylen Brown needs to be kept out of the trade. And I was like,
Not possible.
literally, there's no possible way that if you're going to trade for Damian Lillard, you're not trading Jaylen Brown. I
Yeah,
assume
Jaylen
that you
Brown
agree with
is the
that.
piece that is being talked about right now
Yeah.
as the like, if we want to get Jason Tatum a superstar next to him, Jaylen Brown's got to go to get that guy. Like that. That's the feeling. That's the vibe. So I don't see it happening this year. I think this year is clear Kemba. See what these two can do together with another piece next to them who is
Yeah.
more compatible and healthier to be
Yeah.
around this roster. But no, I think that is insanity. If you think you can get Damian Lillard
Without trading Jaylen Brown.
paying, yeah,
Okay.
no.
I agree. Just want to make sure we're on the same case. The last thing I'll throw out before we move to our next topic is I saw somebody throw out that Porzingis to the Hornets. Melo?
Okay.
I didn't think about that. And yes, if they don't get a center in the draft or somebody in free agency, I mean Terry Rozier to Dallas, and then Terry Rozier and somebody else,
That would
or
be very good for both teams.
I was gonna say,
It gives the Hornets upside. You
yes.
don't know if what KP will be with that roster, but with a point guard like LaMelo, you hope what could be. And then Rozier seemingly fucking scoring stud out there.
He's a better Tim Hardaway.
Yeah,
That's literally what he is, and
far more consistent.
I know that they might
Better
ask
ball
for
handler.
they might ask for Hayward in the deal. I'm not sure the Hornets are going to be willing to give up Gordon
No.
Hayward. I don't think that, not for Porzingis, but like a Terry Rozier for a KP and like something maybe.
Yeah.
And I think it's a win-win deal, honestly.
That would be an interesting one. Yeah.
So yeah, we're gonna. Anything else to wrap up on Kemba Walker?
On Kemba Walker. No, I just have to make a quick note of our Discord conversations today about John Wall slander. We're talking about point guard availability this offseason. I've been talking Kyle Lowry at the top of the list for a lot of these teams trying to compete for a championship. Kemba
You're not.
Walker's
Hold on, cut you off. Sap, you're not getting PJ Washington in the deal for Porzingis. Carry on. Not happening.
Yeah. So Kyle Lowry's at the top for a lot of people. As far as attainable point guards, Kemba Walker knowingly after that. And I think the Dame things are like, yeah, you're gonna pay me $1 billion fucking picks and dollars and everything else. So that's kind of way out of expectations. The next guy out there, though, is John Wall, someone who, coming off of 2 years of not playing basketball, came back to put up his career averages as far as shooting splits, to put up 20 and 7. He's someone who absolutely would love to go to a different team and actually play for meaningful basketball again. And I know the Rockets would love to not pay him $40 million. So it's a win-win deal. John Wall's a legitimate stud point guard, and he will make your teams better. Now, that's a question mark deal I have for you, Jake. Kemba Walker, John Wall, make the deal happen. Who's to lose?
If the Rockets get Cade, I don't like that. Which I think they're going to get the number 1 pick because that's how the NBA works.
The storyline will work out. Yeah.
They lost Star, they gained a star. But I also told Ricky they might throw us off the track this year and give it to some random team like the Chicago Bulls just to throw off like the, and then the next year they go back to it if somebody loses a star and they gain one because now here comes Ricky. I heard
Rockets at 1, Bulls at 4. That's all I know for sure.
All right, we're gonna move on to our next topic because we can go all full tinfoil here and we'll be here for 2 hours. So the Indiana Pacers, I know where's the gift to pretend to be shocked right here. Nate B got fired today. Very shocking news. Yeah, Bjorkgren, sorry, I like calling him Nate B. I there's not much to add on the outside of this story. We knew that there was discrepancies in the locker room between him and the players, and him and his own coaching staff, which is very rare to see some of his assistants quit mid-season, which never happens in the NBA. Just overall thoughts on kind of like this year first about the Pacers, how kind of disappointing it was overall for him, and
Was it?
TJ Warren basically shutting down because he didn't want to play for the coach.
Okay, that wasn't the whole story. He was hurt.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't 100% healthy. Now, could he have played a little bit this year more than he did? Yeah, potentially, yeah. But he didn't. Other injuries on the team did happen. Miles Turner missed some games. Obviously, the Vic into Karis LeVert situation with the tumor, like there were a lot of health complications that affected this Pacers season. Even with Sabonis missed a chunk of time, then he came back, was a fucking monster at the end of the year. Like it's just this was not a healthy roster, and I think the expectations should have been fairly low for that. But the entire season was overshadowed by that locker room issue, by the fact that the veterans on the team didn't respect Nate. They disagreed with him often on how the game should be played. They thought that a lot of the decisions he made were dumb as hell. And the fact that Miles Turner didn't get swapped in a deal with the Boston Celtics.
I think to start out here, the outlook for this team, one, they're going to lose their most important player, most likely. TJ McConnell's a free agent, so it's going to be very hard to replace him. Best backup point guard in the league this year. So, it's good. He's going to get good money. He's going to get good money this offseason. I don't know if they're going to pay it. Honestly, Dave, this seems pretty simple to me. Terry Stotts just got fired. You have a job right here. He's going to step into a contending team in the East, not contending, but playoff contending team in the East. Fits his play style, not as guard dependent as his last team was, but we saw sometimes that wasn't a good thing with his teams in Portland. Still have Sabonis. Miles Turner, I'd assume, is going to get traded, and we've heard a lot about him being available this offseason. But there's still the cornerstones there. Brogdon's there, Sabonis is there, TJ Warren's still there, and Karis LeVert's now hopefully healthy. We hope he stays healthy with everything that went on. I think it's pretty simple. It was already reported because I was going to ask you the question that Ricky always asks, like without names, what will be the ideal coach? But they've already said it. They want an experienced, established coach, and that just seems like Terry Stotts.
Yep, Terry Stotts is the favorite already for the job. I would be shocked if he's not signed by the time we hit the NBA Finals. It just seems like a done deal to me. And yeah, Terry Stotts is known for not wanting to play defense, and that might hurt a team that already was struggling with some defensive situations down there. Yeah. So we will have to see how that turns out for them. But I mean, you said it earlier as far as the role players, TJ McConnell, Dougie McBuckets out there, guys who are absolutely who got I don't want to say way too many, way more minutes than they had expected to this year.
Good,
O'Shea Brissett, your guy.
Syracuse. I don't have it with me.
It's not around, but yeah. Like guys who got a lot of minutes, a lot of runtime because of these injuries. We'll have to see what this team looks like next year because I think that I don't know outside of Brogdon, Karis, and my boy Sabonis, who else is a lock for like long term on this roster. I think you got 3 key pieces. I think Warren might be gone again.
I agree.
That'll be interesting because he's a black hole of offense. But I think a lot of people, after watching what Tyler Hero did, are like, the bubble's gone, so you're probably not supernova hot anymore.
I was gonna say,
as far as your scoring, right?
Yeah, and I think in what should we just do? If Bjorkgren would have stayed, it would have been pointed towards they're going towards a rebuild. Now that they fired him, they're definitely just trying to. It's a retool, not a rebuild.
Yeah,
and I think this front office honestly has done such a good job over the last couple of years of finding talent. Now, do they have the right talent? You disagree?
I disagree.
I'm saying the role players they find and the amount of players, the talent they've accrued, not that the talent fits together, which has always been kind of the problem there, but the talent they have is there. Like finding an O'Shea Brissett in the G League and playing him in the bubble and then signing him to a 3-year deal and then playing him in the NBA and him being like, holy shit, this guy can play basketball. It's not hard to see that he had the talent, and they're one of the few front offices that I think he was with the Raptors too, which is not a shocker because the Raptors are the best at producing G League.
They actually develop talent in the G League, unlike other teams who just demote people there to die.
Shout out to Shake Milton and Paul Reed, MVP of the G League, by the way. I think the Pacers, I wouldn't be too worried. The problem with the Pacers, they don't have that number one. They haven't had that number one since Paul George. So how are they going to go about getting that is the question now moving forward, because while you have a good team and you have a good playoff contending team, most likely in the East with whoever you hire, hopefully Terry Stotts for their sake, who is the guy that you're going to go and get with the assets that you have? I mean, are they a Kemba team? Are they a team that could move a Miles Turner to Boston finally and bring Kemba Walker to Indiana and play Kemba and Brogdon and LeVert? I don't know how that works, but that maybe that's a possible deal because maybe Brogdon also gets moved on and you go with Kemba and LeVert. I mean, there's just so many different ways they go, but they have to go about getting a number one and actually like a guy who can lead the team in the future because I don't think they have that guy right now.
Yeah, I mean, the ultimate problem is that your best player has such a massive deficiency on the defensive end. Domantas Sabonis is a fucking stud. He gives you something like a scuffed Jokic out there, but he is so terrible on defense, and Miles Turner next to him does not fix that problem. You need to move on from Miles, get a piece out there, but you still have to find a guy to play next to Sabonis to lessen the impact there because, yeah, he can create for you, he can run an offense, he can do all these great things, but he doesn't got the fucking hustle left in him on the defensive end to be a rim protector, to defend on the perimeter, and then switch. It's just not in him. So I think that while they do need a star, they also need to find a great complementary piece for their best player, or just say, hey, we want to build around Karras. We want to build a backcourt of Karras and Brogdon, and we can move on from Sabonis, and we'll say Turner's going to continue to develop, sell Sabonis on an all-time high value, and see what you can get for him, because I think that a lot of teams will be interested in him, and you might be able to find yourself a better core that plays together well, rather than trying to find that like one weirdly shaped piece that fits in with a team around Sabonis, perhaps.
Yeah, I guess the only three
I
main
fucking love Sabonis. I'm just gonna put that. I'm gonna qualifier. Sabone me happened before even the fucking draft. Okay.
Yeah. I think there's only be real three candidates that I throw up for this job. Obviously, Terry Stotts should be number one. Yeah. I think Mike D'Antoni is another one. If
he's never going there.
Never going there. I said candidate, but
sure. But he will not even interview.
I think he might.
No.
There's
zero chance. He doesn't give a fuck about you, Indiana.
And then the other guy's Kenny Atkinson. So that because Kenny Atkinson struck out, maybe guard development if they want to, and he also worked with LeVert in Brooklyn and made him kind of what he was.
Connection, absolutely.
So it's just kind of like the connection to bring.
What if they reunited and they got Spence in the offseason?
United,
to be fair, they weren't fantastic next to each other on the court at the same time. But let me just whatever that.
Yeah, let me just whatever the connection to bring in. What if they trade for D'Lo and bring D'Lo back there and reunite all of them? Yeah, I love Sabonis. I actually think Karras, LeVert, and Sabonis could be your two guys going forward. You just need that number one guy next to them that can consistently create for both of them. I mean, there's obviously dream scenarios with the Pacers of who they can get a point guard. I think they're going to have to overpay for somebody, but to overpay for somebody, they're going to have to lighten their cap somewhere. And somebody like getting rid of Miles Turner might be that. I mean, TJ McConnell's probably going to walk. O'Shea Brissett signed for a cheap contract. I don't think LeVert's too expensive for the near future.
No, he's like 19 mil, I think.
Yeah, so that's not bad at all for what he gives you. It's just I'm very questionable on Brogdon, obviously, is a giant question mark with the team because I love Brogdon as a player. I just think that he's kind of stagnant where he is because I'm not sure how much.
It feels like he doesn't have great pieces around him to his play style.
Yeah, and I was like, something I was throwing out that if Chris Paul does leave Phoenix should go straight for Malcolm Brogdon as just kind of like not Chris Paul at all, not throwing that out there. What is it, a smart point guard who can help like grow as with a young team and all that,
and shoots well off ball.
Yeah,
he's deadly efficient out there. He's exactly who you want. You know, if someone else has to take shots other than Devin Booker out there, he ain't a bad option.
Yeah, but I'm not sure. The Indiana Pacers are largely going to be considered on who's available and who's not, and I think that's a lot of who's going to get hired. Most likely it'll be Terry Stotts. I'm not sure if I don't think he's been his name thrown around at all in Boston. I know it's been thrown out in Orlando.
Ooh. We're talking all this shit about what they need to do on this roster. Could this be the time? If you hire Terry Stotts, would you find a way to make the magical thing happen and trade for CJ McCollum? A guy who seemingly is the factor who can't play next to Dame if they want to win a championship. But we haven't seen CJ like play as the number one guy in his own team. We've talked about what that could look like. They have multiple pieces on this.
Brogdon to Portland.
I'm saying that there are pieces in Indiana that don't fit, and there's a guy who could be a breakout stud on his own. Not breakout really, because he's already put up over 20 a game.
Yeah, we know what he can do.
He could put up 27 a night, 28 a night on a Pacers team and be their number one.
Yeah, I think
And
CJ.
he's got the familiarity with Stotts.
I would say I think CJ's a vastly underrated player just because of the role that he plays, and I think everybody's known for so long that Dame and CJ will not win a championship in the same backcourt. It's just can CJ do it on his own, and this is the exact chance. You get to do it in a small market in Indiana, like relative to the NBA, small market,
Absolutely.
and there's no pressure. Like there's no pressure as there is playing next to Dame in a system where everybody wants. Most NBA fans want Dame to get a ring eventually in Portland, especially in Portland. That's the storyline you want. It's just reuniting Stotts and CJ. We were just talking about reuniting LeVert and CJ and LeVert. I'm not wild on the backcourt together, but it might work. And then if you can move, Turner has to go no matter what. If you're going to keep Sabonis, Turner has to go. I don't know what rim protecting big you're going to get. Maybe we get a sign and trade, and Jared Allen comes to Indiana, and Miles Turner goes to Cleveland. I'm just then you have the same problem with Kevin Love and Miles Turner in a front court. But who cares? It's Cleveland. Who cares? Who cares? It's Cleveland. Nobody cares about the Cavaliers because LeBron's not there. See if that triggers anybody. Yeah, I'm not quite sure the direction Indiana has. They need to decide this offseason because, like I say all the time, you either want to be the best or you want to be the worst. And right now, they're cutting that line down the middle, and they are right in that purgatory threshold.
But they were in purgatory with a team that had 4 major injuries, and their best players missed the majority. Like, it's crazy. I think, had Nate not had, like, absolute fucking horrible chemistry with this team, I mean, I don't think he did a bad job. I don't think he would get fired for this year's performance. It was the chemistry that got him out of town. The performance on the court with the guys who were healthy, I have no problem with, to be honest with you.
Sorry, Woj just tweeted, Celtics president Brad Stevens has started to get permission to speak with head coaching assistants, including Chauncey Billups, Darvin Ham, Charles Lee, of
course,
with the Bucks, Jamal Mosley, and my boy Ime Udoka. That's about what we thought. Chauncey, I hope
it's Chauncey's job to lose.
Chauncey's a piece of shit. Hope he doesn't get the job.
Darvin Ham deserves a chance.
I like Udoka a lot. I'm not sure that's the right situation to throw him in. If we're talking about Orlando, I like that for Udoka because he's a guy who can grow with the team. You mentioned that. I mean, we can talk about that for a couple minutes, for 2 minutes, because not for long, because we're about to be done. We almost hit our hour mark. Yeah. Anything else to add on the Pacers? I'm not sure. I think it's Terry Stotts. Honestly,
Stotts is a lock, and I won't look past it at this point. I just think it's a matter of how do you find the right team for Stotts. And I'm with you. I don't think that. What's going on? Oh, we got the tweet going up. Okay, Ricky got the official tweet on the screen.
Not Sam Cassell, which I love to see because Sam Cassell, I hope he doesn't get. I hope he does get a job, just not yet. Just let him work with Maxey for one more year. let him stay off of that. Yeah, with the Celtics,
you just got to find the team though.
That list is kind of interesting though, and that's exactly what I expected out of Brad Stevens. Because besides Chauncey Billups, none of those are like all the names that got thrown out as soon as people got fired with that.
They're assistants. They're really well-respected assistants.
Because they're guys who will listen to Brad instead of bringing in a Mike D'Antoni. I say his name like Mike D'Antoni. I literally say Mike D'Antoni every time I say his name. That makes sense though for the Celtics. I know people want Chauncey Billups. I think he's a coin toss. I'm not completely sure on what his outcome was with the team, but they're going to hire a player-friendly coach because that's exactly what they want with Brad Stevens. Because Brad Stevens will be giving coaching game plans. Don't fool yourself that he's president, doesn't want to coach. He just took the pressure off of himself, and he's going to throw. I'm sure he's going to be sitting in those meetings with the coaches.
Danny Ainge was sitting courtside trying to fucking help out on coaching. So
we have a Pat Riley situation here, just nowhere near the rings.
Yeah.
You want to add anything on the Celtics with their candidates? I'm not quite sure.
I'm happy with the candidates. I think they're all good choices. Try to keep the team happy. Try to keep Jason Tatum happy at the end of the day. Try to find someone who will vibe with the locker room because clearly that was something you need to do. They've had locker room issues year over year, not necessarily on Brad, but the players in this team have egos. And he didn't do the best job at managing those egos, I believe. So I think if they're going to get a guy like that, Chauncey seems the most real. No disrespect to these other guys, but like he's been the player. He's got the ego. He's got the personality, and I think he has a relatively high basketball IQ. I respect the fuck out of Darvin Ham and Ime Udoka, but like I don't know.
It's not their job. There's no way.
They're not viewed the same way. That's just yeah.
And I agree with Chauncey Billups' high basketball IQ. I just think when you hire these former players, it's literally let's flip it up and see how it lands.
Well, it's definitely better than Jason Kidd. Be
definitely better
happy
than
and don't
Jason
see
Kidd.
his name on that list, Austin.
I mean, off the court and off the court issues, we say hashtag
Both
on the
aren't
court.
great.
We say hashtag on the court. I hope for personal reasons Chauncey Billups never gets a head coaching job, but he will this offseason most likely because that's how the NBA works. I don't have anything else to add, so I think that's going to wrap us up.
Hey, we got Sapnikov saying massive step back
for what?
For the Celtics.
I mean, they're going to take a step back regardless because they just had a top 5 coach step down and take a president job. You are not going to replace him with a better coach. I'm sorry, you're not.
You're not going to get a better coach, but do you not think that having Danny Ainge not in your front office means you could get a better roster around a coach who might get better play out of certain guys?
I need a coin because it's literally
okay. You're coin flipping this. That's okay.
It's coin flipping. What happens with Brad Stevens, isn't it? Because they said he's been heavily involved with all the roster decisions the last couple of years.
There were some statements around that, yeah.
So I'm not massive step back. We already stunk.
I mean, look, y'all were about a 500 team for 80% of the year. I mean, that's what it is. That's what it was. But you didn't have a point guard. I mean, that's sort of an important role in the NBA these days. So really, it comes down to, regardless of which one of these guys you hire, how do you deal with the Kemba situation moving forward? Will probably decide how this team moves moving forward.
Yeah, I was saying it's hard to decide right now, like because their roster just simply isn't good enough, and we kind of have those words, Kemba Walker.
The top three in the East is fucking brutal. But
I don't understand how and their bench has to vastly improve. Their bench was horrible all year. Romeo Langford needs to stay healthy and get a full offseason. And
how about play games?
Literally
play games.
And when he played, he didn't look good, which I don't blame him.
Oh, he had a couple. He had a couple minutes in there that look okay.
Yeah, a couple minutes, but he was very.
That's a large percentage of his season is a couple minutes.
Couple minutes. The problem is that they've taken all these project players and none of them have panned out so far. And then they took an experienced college veteran and Peyton Pritchard, and he was their best role player on the team that came off the bench. Isn't that shocking? That the guy, when I said they should be targeting 3rd and 4th year college players to step in and play a role off the bench, I was told no, they shouldn't. Chris Duarte, Boston, perfect fit. Take him, okay? Trade up for him. Don't care. Literally fits every need you have off the bench. Peyton Pritchard, Chris Duarte, sign a wing, sign a bench big, and you got your team soft as long as you get Kemba Walker off the roster. I don't know.
Point guard.
Well, you got to trade Kemba Walker. Hopefully get a point guard in that. That's the hope. I mean, there's no other. They don't have.
Russell Westbrook.
I honestly, for my sake and my slander, I hope Russell Westbrook ends up on the Celtics because it would warm my heart to watch him shoot them out of playoff games and lose them games. But that's going to be it for MVP Sports Live today. Again, shout out to our Patreon sponsor, Pat Hill. Again, Discord in the description below, and also Patreon if you want to support us. Ricky's going to have a prospect video going up soon on Iota Sumo. I'll have mine followed by Chris Duarte.
Channel
members also down below. Join channel members. You get the same perks as Patreon, and you get mock drafts 1 week early. Soapy's mock draft will be going up this week, I believe. It'll be on YouTube a week after, obviously. And yeah, I think that's about it. We're gonna have draft content spewing out of our bottoms in the next month or two. So keep the channel on that. Push the bell for notifications so you know exactly when they go live and it pops up on your phone. You can just click on it while you're at work and not work. You just watch our draft videos. Leave a like on the video and subscribe. Thanks everybody. It was a great show. And Dave and Soapy will be back tomorrow with a draft topic and some talking about the game tonight, the Nuggets and Suns. So have a good day, everybody.